Thereof, the first grade 1, the KPMG Champion Novice Hurdle. Over the extended 2 miles, 9 flights to jump. It is Salvator Mundi who sets off to make it. From Irancy on the inside, out jump for the second by Kopek Des Bordes, coming here with an unbeaten record. Then the 2 outsiders, Fleetfoot, Winnie Hill, and just the back marker is Karbau. Heading past the judge the first time, flight number 2 is next. It is Salvator Mundi, followed by Kopek Des Bordes, third Irancy, and fourth is Fleetfoot with the final couple, Winnie Hill and Karbau. Reaching flight number 2 on the uphill run to the top of the track. Kopek Des Bordes just left his own ones in that. As it's Salvator Mundi increasing the lead to over 4 lengths from Kopek Des Bordes, who's moved on from stable companion Irancy, who's just third, from Fleetfoot, and then Winnie Hill and Karbau. The uphill flight number 3, Salvator Mundi up and over from Kopek Des Bordes, again far from fluent. Then Irancy, Fleetfoot, Winnie Hill and Karbau. They're spacing themselves out now. Salvator Mundi and Patrick Mullins, followed by Kopek Des Bordes and Paul Townend, gone further away from Irancy and Mark Walsh, who's just holding on to third, from Fleetfoot and Keith Donoghue, as Karbau and Danny Mullins relegate to last, Winnie Hill and Sam Ewing. Over the flight at the bottom of the track, and it is Salvator Mundi by over 5 lengths to Kopek Des Bordes, gone a long way clear of Irancy, and then Fleetfoot, Karbau and Winnie Hill. Further stretched out, turning down the far side to the first of 3, the KPMG Champion Novice Hurdle, and it is Salvator Mundi with a slightly reduced advantage over Kopek Des Bordes, 10 to 12 lengths up on the third running Irancy, as Karbau edges into fourth ahead of Fleetfoot, and finally Winnie Hill. Heading for the halfway stage in the next flight in the back straight, it is Salvator Mundi in front since the tape was released. It's followed by Kopek Des Bordes, who's closer than second, as Irancy is just coming in to negotiate at a remote third, and then Karbau, and colliding at the back on landing of that flight, Fleetfoot and Winnie Hill. They're both struggling on. Salvator Mundi over the last flight in the back straight. From Kopek Des Bordes, Irancy in third and Karbau in fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Willie Mullins at the moment, with 5 furlongs to go. Gone a long, long way clear of both Fleetfoot and Winnie Hill. Turning with 5 furlongs to go and 2 flights to jump. Salvator Mundi is all the while coming back to Kopek Des Bordes, who's within a length now. Much closer in third and fourth, respectively, Irancy and Karbau, racing along the side of the track with 2 flights to jump, the KPMG Champion Novice Hurdle. Salvator Mundi gathered in by Kopek Des Bordes, still closing up both Irancy and Karbau as they jump to second last, off to the left, and more than tickling the flight, Kopek Des Bordes, and has lost second to Irancy. Turning in for the final flight, it's Salvator Mundi from Irancy, Karbau on the outside. Kopek Des Bordes has flattened out, is relegated to fourth. Turning in for the last flight, Salvator Mundi, joined by Irancy, who's making headway, 1 out from the rail, followed then by Karbau, leaving behind Kopek Des Bordes, passing the 2 with 1 flight left to jump, and it is Irancy travelling much the better of the leading 3 and goes on, coming to the final flight. It is Irancy and Mark Walsh into the last. They've widened their advantage over Salvator Mundi, and not on landing by Karbau. Most disappointing in fourth, Kopek Des Bordes, but not taking away from Irancy here, who's winning the KPMG Champion Novice Hurdle in impressive fashion. Salvator Mundi second, Karbau in third.
Yes, Mark Walsh has just teamed up with Willie Mullins and our JP McMahon to land our first grade 1 of the week. Start of what promised to be a very good week. Well done. He was very impressive.
Yeah, brilliant. I just set out to follow the boys, and once we jumped the third hurdle, they were gone down the hill, and I couldn't go similar to Cheltenham. He couldn't come down the hill in Cheltenham, so I just let him be where he was comfortable. They'd gone a right gallop, and lucky enough to come back to me the second last, and I was trying to hang on to him for as long as I could there, and he was breaking his ears when he went to the front, but in fairness to him, he went down and winged the last and galloped well to the line.
And obviously 32 lengths to make up a Kopek Des Bordes on that run in the Supreme Novice. He was good at Fairyhouse only last week, and obviously more impressive today.
Yeah, he just didn't handle Cheltenham at all. Flat track and Fairyhouse suited him. today suited him a lot better, bar the hill away from the stands. But yeah, look, he's a decent horse. He's had plenty of problems, so fair play to Willie for getting him here.
And I'd say obviously you knew when you turned in. Hold on, they're coming back to me now. You knew that Paul Townend was in trouble and Kopek Des Bordes. I'd say you were happy where you were.
Yeah, I was happy. I'd say I was trying to stay with Patrick as long as I could down the straight, but I had to let him on, and in fairness to him, he jumped the last well and galloped away well.
Great stuff. Next year, do you think he get further? He might want further. Is 2 miles the perfect trip?
I think 2 miles is perfect for him, and he'll jump a fence next year, I'd say, as well. So there's a nice option to go and chase for him next year.
Great stuff. Fact to file.
Yeah, looking forward to him now. It's going to be some race, isn't it?
Trip-wise, you're not concerned?
Look, we went some gallop in the Ryanair, and I seen somewhere in the paper the fractions at Ryanair is not far off a champion chase fraction, so I'm not too worried.
Great stuff. Lots to look forward to. Spillane Tower as well later on the week.
Yeah, Spillane Tower, there's loads of good rides for the week, so I'm looking forward to them all.
Great stuff, Walshy. Great start to the week. Well done and best of luck for the remainder.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, something of a surprise in our first of the Grade Ones. Not that this man won, given how well he was represented with 4 in it, but it went to Irancy and not to the well-fancied Kopek Des Bordes. The winner, first of all, well done. He's had that in him.
He's had that, and JP's been asking me all season, is he a Grade 1 horse? And I kept saying he is. That's the work he's doing at home. He just had a little setback after his first win, and we put him by, and that's paid off.
So he went into Cheltenham. You expected he might, I don't want to say take a step forward for it, but because it's a Grade 1. But half at the back of your mind was that he would do that.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a setback and you're coming back, you're always trying to make up ground. But he did it. But I think a big help was today's pace as well. Patrick had elected to go forward with Salvator Mundi, and I think he just ran too free, especially when he got to the top of the hill here and down the hill. They were going some lick down there, and Paul, knowing how good Salvator Mundi is, couldn't let him out of his sight, and it was extraordinary watching the two of them in front, and then our two, we think the other two horses are good horses too, Irancy and Karbau, and they looked like to be riding for third or fourth, and yet when they came to the fourth last hurdle, after that it looked like the whole race might switch, that they might be third and fourth, and Irancy and Karbau could be first and second. So I was as fascinated as anyone watching it. So then Mark rode a fantastic race. He kept his powder dry, used it. Karbau just ran out of steam. But Salvator Mundi, I mean, the way he jumped and stayed on to be second, I thought that was a tremendous run out of him.
Given the pace they went, are you inclined to think the pace ultimately inconvenienced Salvator Mundi and Kopek Des Bordes, or is there more to it with Kopek?
More to it with Kopek. I mean, looking at my 4 going around the parade ring, I thought Kopek looked the burliest of the 4 of them. I'd obviously given him a nice break after Cheltenham. It looks like now I probably gave him too much of a break. I think probably should have brought him to Sandown or Ayr or Perth or somewhere for a run, but he looked to me going around the parade ring. I don't know what your paddock judges said on the TV, but he was big and burly, but if Salvator Mundi wasn't in the race and it wasn't that pace early on, he could probably have, used his class to win. But I think just because of the constant pace from the start, even though it just shows the time was over 4 minutes, so that must mean that track is fairly well watered. I didn't manage to see the times of the first 2 or 3 races, but given the pace they went, there's plenty of water on the track, I think.
I know you've got loads in here. Anything obvious with what you'll do with any of them next season, talking about these 4?
I imagine Kopek probably go jumping. He looks a chaser in the making. We'll have a chat with JP about what he wants to do with Irancy. Salvator Mundi, God, he looks a smart hurdler for me. The ground he was making over his hurdles, he could stay hurdling. And then Karbau will go chasing, I imagine.
Final obvious question with Ballyburn. Do you think he was inconvenienced by where he was positioned in the race last time? Would you look to choose that?
We got tactics totally wrong. They'll be totally changed here today. This is going to be a fascinating race. I mean, I have 4 runners in it. Any one of them could. If Ballyburn jumps as well as he should be able to jump, well and good. But I mean, you've Lecky Watson there. You've just the Champ Kiley had. Paul said he needed the run the last day, and Danny ride him today.
And in Perret passes,
Il Atlantique there, and what is it, 3 miles? I mean, it's going to be a hell of a race. I think if Perret Pass has his chance. This is his first time, I think. Is it over this trip? Is it?
He was 3 miles last time at Aintree, wasn't he?
Looking at entry here, 2 miles 3 furlongs.
2 miles 3. You're right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And you know,
Do you think he'll stay?
oh yeah, why wouldn't he? He should. He's a very lazy horse in his race, so and that's been his problem. And if you know, we think he has the speed for 2 miles, but he gets lazy and he gets out of the race. So we said, let's have a shot at 3 miles and see what he can do. So it'll probably tell me where I'm going with all these next year. Well, Lecky Watson will stay chasing anyhow. But Ballyburn, you know, will be, if he doesn't jump well enough, will we go back over hurdling with him? Cham Kiley probably stay chasing. Ilat Link will stay chasing, you know. So Ballyburn, I suppose, the most interesting one. If the different tactics work.
I'm most excited to see his head carriage on the way down and just what he does, because it was very pronounced at Cheltenham.
That's because I think we were holding him up. Today I'd say Paul will just let him gallop. And even if his head carriage is low, that I like a horse with a low head carriage for some reason, longer stride. They see their fences, but if they're in behind other horses being held up, it doesn't suit them. So hopefully it'll work.
I'm excited. Good luck.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.